Insightful podcasts by informative hosts. Insights into Things, a podcast network. Welcome to Insights into Teens, a podcast series exploring the issues and challenges of today's youth. Your hosts are Joseph and Madison Whalen, a father and daughter team making their way through the challenges of the teenage years.
Welcome to Insights into Teens. This is episode 98, Body Anxiety. I'm your host, Joseph Whalen, and my brilliant and beautiful co-host, Madison Whalen.
Hi, everyone.
How you doing today, Maddie?
I'm doing all right.
How was your week this week?
It was calm but busy.
Calm but busy. Okay, well, I guess busy helps to make the week go by faster, right?
I suppose so.
Well, there's something to say about that. So today we're going to be talking about body anxiety. And one of the things that I tend to do is I go out and I look for different topics for us to talk about. And anxiety is one that always seems to come up with teens. As a teen, do you go through a lot of anxiety about things?
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff I worry about, and in fact, I have the problem of finding something to worry about.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But body anxiety happens to be a topic that's been coming up a lot lately on a lot of different websites. And I don't know if it's a byproduct of the whole stay-at-home thing. I know one of the things a lot of people have talked about is, everyone's put a few extra pounds on since they've been stuck at home.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be driving some of the body anxiety. And some of it might be the fact that you're not interacting with peers and getting positive, feedback from your peers about how you look. All teens worry about how they look and how their body's developing and so forth. So without getting that feedback from your peers, good or bad, I guess, I think it might be driving the body anxiety a little bit. Mm-hmm. So today we're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about what is body anxiety, some of the physical appearance concerns that teens have. Then we're going to talk some of the fashion considerations. As you get into your later teen years, what you wear becomes significant. Mm-hmm. We'll also talk about physical self-evaluation, combating social expectations, and then we'll finish up with how parents can help their teens combat body anxiety. But before we get into that, I would like to invite folks to subscribe to the podcast. You can get audio versions of the podcast listed as Insights into Teens anywhere you subscribe to your podcasts. You can get video versions of the podcast, and in fact, all of our shows, if you look up Insights into Things. I would also invite folks to give us your feedback, tell us how we're doing, suggest any topics for us to discuss. You can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com. You can get us on Twitter at insights_things. You can get us on Facebook at facebook.com/insightsintothingspodcast, or you can go directly to our website at www.insightsintothings.com. Shall we get started?
We shall.
Commence shelling. So what is body anxiety? Why don't you tell us what our definition of body anxiety is for today?
Okay, so puberty during mid-adolescence, around the ages of 9 to 15, involves significant changes to teens' bodies. Young people can feel anxious about bodily changes that aren't in their control. There's often self-consciousness and worry about how their growing body is turning out. There is an increased need for physical privacy. There is more time devoted to self-inspection inspection and social preparation. There's more peer attention paid to personal appearance, both good and bad. There can be concerns about gender definition and how to express them, and all of these things can lead to body anxiety.
So that's a pretty broad definition for what we're talking about here. But before we get too deep into it, let me ask you if any of these things are applicable to you. Obviously, you've gone through and are going through puberty at this point in time, and you've seen the various changes that it's caused with your body, your grooming habits, your moods, and everything. Has that been something of concern for you since you started? You were around, 11 when you started with the changes?
Actually, around 9.
Around 9. So you
Yeah.
were very early. So has the way your body been developing as a result of that, is that something that's been a concern or a source of anxiety for you?
I mean, when I first started going through this, it was kind of a big shock to me. I actually found out my body was changing at school, and then when I went home to both you and Mommy, I was kind of scared. I was scared what my body was going through, and I was scared that I was kind of forming, and I wasn't sure if this was normal or not. I had talked a bit about puberty before, but not to an extent of the point of knowing what was going on when I went through it.
So has it resulted in self-consciousness or anxiousness about how things are changing with your body, where you've not been able to get the answers that you're looking for?
I mean, I've been able to get the answers to all this, and we also had, we've also talked about it a couple times on the podcast, and school does also kind of show us videos about puberty. I think it started when I was in 4th grade. We watched a video about puberty since many of the kids at that point were starting to go through puberty.
So how about the need for physical privacy and more time devoted to understanding these changes that your body's going through? Do you feel as though that's a need for you, and do you feel like that need is being met at this time?
I definitely have noticed that ever since I went through puberty, I've needed a lot of privacy. I usually like to close my door when I get changed, even though you guys are my family. I am kind of self-conscious of, like, when we go swimming, I always try and wear, like, 2 pieces, but that they cover my stomach. I'm kind of self-conscious of that. So I don't entirely... I definitely think that I have wanted a lot more privacy ever since I went through puberty, so...
How about the amount of attention that you devote to your personal appearance? Do you find that you're more conscious of... Now, granted, we don't go out very often because of the current conditions we're under, but occasionally you go out to the store or whatever it is. Do you find that you're more cognizant of how you look before you present yourself to other people at this point more than ever?
Kinda, yeah. There was actually one time where we went to the supermarket, and most of my winter clothes are like dark colors, but my winter boots are white, light gray, and pink. And I was kind of like worried about it. Like, I was kind of worried about wearing them because they were just they just stuck out of my, basically they were eye-catching compared to the rest of my outfits. So I was kind of worried about that. As for getting ready, I try to keep good personal hygiene at home, but I always make sure that I have my hair brushed when we do the podcast and when we go out, so that I don't look like a mess.
Well, that's good. I'm sure your viewing public appreciates that.
Yeah.
What about gender definition? You generally are not a very, I don't know the word to describe, frou-frou. You don't like to wear dresses and dress all in outwardly feminine, traditionally feminine style dress. You're much more casual. You prefer pants over dresses. Do you have any anxiety about your gender definition when it comes to your appearance?
I mean, not really. I don't entirely like wearing feminine outfits and, well, traditionally feminine outfits. And originally, especially when I was younger, Mommy would like dressing me up in those kinds of outfits, especially on picture days. And I never entirely liked wearing them. They were just never comfortable for me. I never really liked either. I don't even like having my hair down most of the time, which is why I usually have it tied back.
Right.
And it actually took me until a couple years ago to finally admit to Mommy, hey, I don't really like wearing formal, traditionally feminine dresses. I don't like wearing dresses, skirts, or anything really entirely fancy. Could I please just wear some casual stuff? And so far, it's been good. My last picture day, I think I actually wore a Space Cat shirt.
Now that's more, for you, it's more for comfort than it is for fashion sense more than anything. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, pretty much. But for the most part, I do have my outfits kind of representing something I like. But I just like wearing t-shirts overall.
Fair enough. So all in all, all those things considered, do you think you suffer from body anxiety?
I mean, to a certain extent, yes. I don't entirely. I think it's definitely from the privacy aspect of it, and like that aspect of it. I definitely think that I have a bit of body anxiety for that. But for gender expression, I don't really think I have a problem.
Okay, good. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was physical appearance concerns. As a child, we're mostly unself-conscious of personal looks. With the onset of puberty and adolescence, appearance becomes a primary concern. There's an increased preoccupation with managing one's looks because they can affect how one is identified, how one is treated, how one fits in, and how one belongs to popular groups. Now, right now, with the pandemic and isolation, a lot of these things really don't have as much of an effect right now because you're not directly interacting with peers.
Mm-hmm.
But let's think back, a little over a year ago when you were going to school and interacting with people. How much did your physical appearance affect how you were treated in school and how others viewed you?
I mean, I definitely wasn't popular. I wasn't too well known. I wasn't well known in the sense that people actually wanted to hang out with me. I was kind of well known though for my name because a lot of the kids who went to my school, I had classes with. So they kind of knew my name from that, but I wasn't really popular on a major level. And I don't really think my looks had too much to do with it. I know that some people, especially during picture days with people who knew I used to wear my hair down and wear a dress, I'm pretty sure if I went into school wearing a dress and had my hair down, everyone, pretty much people who knew me, would be kind of shocked because they wouldn't really know that I looked like that.
Right. So the media, our peers, and pop culture can set up an artificially idealized model of attractiveness and beauty that influence teen self-image and concern about physical appearances. Kids often resort to comparing themselves to that idealized image of beauty, which are more often than not fiction and not at all a representation of reality. As a result, teens feel bad because they don't measure up to these artificially established standards. Some of the adverse side effects of this struggle include weight struggles and eating disorders, depression, bullying, and the use of body-enhancing substances. So with that in mind, do you hold yourself up to any of these body images that we see depicted in the media or through celebrities or typical channels for role models? Is that something that you hold up to, or is your look your own? Do you own your look and not have it influenced by others?
Well, I will be honest, when I was younger, I kind of had that. But then later on, I kind of realized that all that stuff is completely unrealistic. And in fact, I actually watched a video in Skills where it said that a lot of advertisements are fully edited to get rid of blemishes and make them look like the idealized version of perfect and perfection. And honestly, learning of all this, I know I'm never going to look like that, and I'm not going to try to look like that. I'm just going to try and stay healthy and make sure that I am okay with my body.
And I think that's probably the healthiest approach that you could have regarding this. I mean, you see things, a lot of things take heat, like Barbie dolls, for instance, where the Barbie dolls present this unrealistic, idealized physical appearance of what, the female body should look like. And if you looked like that, you would probably be suffering from several different eating disorders in order to look like that.
Yeah.
But is there anyone out there that you see in the celebrity universe that you think might embody what you want to look like, or how you want to be perceived?
Well, it's kind of difficult because not many people who are shown in the media are shown to not have this idealized body. Not many are considered to have body weight, and many are considered to be shown as kind of skinny and this kind of body that we basically painted as what you should be looking like, or what the perfect ideal is. And it is kind of hard to find people who are shown that aren't overly obese, that are just, regular people.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point. Very astute observation. So let's take a little break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some fashion considerations and physical self-evaluation and a few more things.
Alrighty.
We'll be right back. For over 7 years, the Second Sith Empire has been the premier community guild in the online game Star Wars: The Old Republic. With hundreds of friendly and helpful active members, a weekly schedule of nightly events, annual guild meet and greets, and an active community both on the web and on Discord. The Second Sith Empire is more than your typical gaming group. We're family. Join us on the Starforge server for nightly events such as operations, flashpoints, world boss hunts, Star Wars trivia, guild lottery, and much more. Visit us on the web today at www.thesecondsithempire.com. Welcome back. We are talking body anxiety today. So let's talk fashion considerations. So dressing according to fashion becomes more important to keep up with and fit in with friends. A teen may complain they have nothing to wear while the parents complain about a closet full of clothes that fit just fine. Parents fail to understand that, quote, fit isn't just a physical issue, it's a fashionable one. Is that something that you would agree with?
I mean, yeah. While it doesn't entirely relate to me personally, I do know that that a lot of teens worry about looking fashionable, and just because something fits doesn't mean they feel it's good for them to wear.
That's a very good point. Dressing for a secure, comfortable, and confident physical appearance counts for a lot. A wardrobe that is in perfectly good condition but is last year's fashion may no longer be suitable to wear at schools or around friends. Now, again, under the current circumstances, I think we can pretty much throw fashion out the window since there's no socializing right now. But under normal circumstances, do you feel that it's important for you to update your wardrobe every year for school so that you're wearing, and even during school, so that you're wearing fashions that are the current trend so that you fit in better? Do you think it helps you fit in better or be more confident and comfortable with your peers?
Well, I will be honest. There are a lot of girl outfits that are shown to be popular that I know look nice, but I'd never be comfortable with. Like, one of them used to be ripped jeans, and I wasn't entirely sure how I'd feel with ripped jeans. And when I first tried, and it took me a while until I ended up trying them out, and I ended up liking them. But there were a lot of other outfits that, like, they look nice, but I don't think I'd ever really feel comfortable with them. I really just wear, like, I'm so used to wearing t-shirts at this point that at one point when I was cleaning out my wardrobe and I had some of my old tank tops, when I put them on and like, I could physically feel the change, and it was the strangest thing.
So how important is fashion to you right now?
Definitely not the most important thing. I have the clothes that I like and the clothes that I don't like, and I really don't try to be up with the times. Every once in a while, every year or so, me and Mommy would go out for other clothes, typically to get shorts, pants, or even some t-shirts. And I really don't try to wear the fashionable outfits. I don't entirely concern that. Like, I mainly just concern about the type of logo my t-shirt has. Like, if there's a funny kind of logo that I think, like, represents me, I would wear it.
That makes sense. I understand that. As a kid growing up, I grew up, I think we've talked about this in the past. My parents didn't have a lot of money. My dad didn't make a lot of money. So when I would go out shopping for clothes, it was more for the necessity of clothes than it was for the fashion of clothes. Mm-hmm. And as a result, I wasn't always wearing the latest and greatest. You know, I wasn't wearing name brand stuff or, you know, any designer stuff or anything like that. And, you know, kids didn't make fun of me. And that was mainly because I was probably the biggest kid in the class, and you know, you're not really smart if you make fun of the biggest, toughest kid in class. So I kind of got a pass on that, but I did see that other, you know, kids can be cruel and they'll find things to pick on. And if it's not your fashion that they're going to pick on you for, if they don't like you, they'll find something else to pick on you for. But you know, sometimes the fashion and the clothes that you wear tend to paint a target on your back.
Yeah.
So let's talk physical evaluation. Puberty increases the severity of physical evaluation. The body changes so rapidly during this time that each morning you wake up, you feel as though your body has changed since the day before. A new facial blemish may appear, a new pimple. Maybe you can't get your hair the way you want it. Maybe you look like you've put pounds on overnight. You may look exactly the same as the day before, but now you don't like the way you look. Have you experienced that type of thing where you see your body changing so rapidly, or not even see it changing, you perceive it changing so rapidly that you may feel different from day to day?
I definitely think I have that with pimples, because sometimes, like, as long as they're not entirely an inconvenience to me, I won't entirely notice them changing. But if they are kind of an inconvenience, I notice that. One of the big problems I always have is that my hair always gets messed up, and it's always annoying to try and brush it out. Sometimes it's easy to brush it out, but actually today it was kind of harder to brush it out.
I understand. But even the most supportive and understanding parents can't help a teen's self-image in many cases because it's not the options of the parents. It's not the opinions of the parents that matter most. It's the opinions of peers. How, and again, thinking back to before quarantine, how much were the opinions of your peers a concern to you? And how often were those opinions expressed to you in ways that made you be a little more self-conscious, maybe?
Well, I will be honest, none of them actually really made fun of my outfit most of the time. Again, I wasn't really the most social child. I had my group of friends, and really kids didn't entirely, talk to me. There were some times where, especially at gym, some of the girls would comment about something and I'd kind of get annoyed, but it was never really on my fashion standpoint. So I wasn't entirely, it never really bothered me in that respects. I did want to at least kind of blend into the crowd. I didn't want to be stick out in a good or bad way. I just kind of wanted to blend in, which is kind of why I just wore regular clothes. No one really commented on okay, why don't you wear a dress or something? Like, they never did that. My fashion choice did end up getting me out of social gatherings, specifically the dances, because they recommended formal outfits, and since I never really liked wearing formal outfits, I didn't go because I wasn't going to be forced to wear something I didn't want to wear, so I guess it kind of affected how I interacted with others and their opinions. I mean, yeah, I kind of took some of them to heart, and like you normally said, their opinions shouldn't matter, and I won't really know any of them later on in life. But it was still always kind of hard to ignore others' opinions of you, especially if they're negative.
That is true. When they're in your face like that, it's difficult to not have it affect you in some way. That brings us to social expectations and combating social expectations. Not all teens mature at the same rate. We know that, for instance, boys mature at a slower rate than girls do. Girls tend to mature much younger than boys do.
Mm-hmm.
Some progress faster through puberty than others, even in the same gender. Some may feel left behind as their friends' bodies change faster than their own. If one is 14 but appears 12 looking, they look much younger, and the result can be that they're discounted or pushed around because they don't look like they're maturing as fast as their other peers. But if one is 14 and appears 16, they look advanced for their age. They can result in pressure to act more mature than they're ready for as well. Having started puberty at a relatively young age of 9, you've matured a little bit faster than some of your peers have. And certainly some matured faster than some of your friends because a lot of your friends are a little younger than you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you've had any kind of pressure or anything put on you to act or behave at a different age than you're comfortable with at this point?
I mean, there's always been this kind of thing resonating with me that I didn't exactly look my age. Like in my normal look, I feel as though I'm younger. I feel as though I look younger than 14, and whenever I have my hair down, you guys know, you always say I look much more mature than 14. And the thing is, I never entirely feel like I'm 14. Like, looking at myself now, I would say I'm either 12 or 13 because I just appear that way. And that's kind of what got me thinking. Like, I've never seen like, it seems like all the older kids, when I look at them, like, I never really look like them when I am their age. They always look older than me. And I think that's just because they're getting older, or it's just because there's no real definition for how you look at 14 years old. Every 14-year-old looks different, and there's no specific body type for the ages of 12, of the ages when you're going through puberty, because so many people change at different rates.
That's a very good point. Sometimes a young woman will cloak herself in bulky clothes to conceal her maturing body because she's not ready for the attention that this appearance change can bring. And it can be further difficult for mature-looking adolescents to resist the attention of older peers who invite him or her to act that older age as well. So that can cause some uncomfortable social interactions. Viewed as older than you are, peers and adults can make unrealistic assumptions about you and what you want and have experienced based on your looks. So someone may look at you, think that you're older, and expect you to act older or perform, higher in school or whatever it is. When you start looking sexually mature, there can be a social expectation that you are inclined to act that way as well. So that's kind of that dangerous, slippery slope that we talk about, where if you start looking older than you really are, socially you may be pressured into acting that way, and that can lead to difficult situations. Do you find that your teachers and adults around you treat you the same age that you are, or do they treat you like you're younger or older, or some variance thereof?
I mean, I do feel that most of my teachers do respect me for my age, especially since I'm a decently smart student. So I think they know that. I'm not entirely sure if they treat me if I'm older or if I'm younger. I don't think they treat me when I'm younger. I'm not sure if they treat me the age I am, or that I'm older. It does seem as though I'm getting a lot more responsibilities though, because I guess due to the fact that I am kind of smart, I think that kind of pushes me over the limit of being 14 and maybe being slightly older, because I've definitely been getting a lot of responsibilities, especially now that I'm going to be moving into the high school. So I guess there is that kind of middle ground where they don't treat me like I'm a year older, but they don't entirely treat me like I'm 14 either. There's some middle ground that is where they treat me.
Now, do you think that differentiation in how they treat you is a result of your physical appearance, or a result of how you conduct yourself in their presence? Like, do you act more mature?
Well, I definitely think, as compared to some of the other kids, I definitely think I act a lot more mature. I've noticed that kids my age can't seem to be quiet a lot, and that's nothing against them. It's just they have pretty low attention spans, and I can understand that. But I'm one of those kids who just stays quiet and just, make sure to pay attention to the lesson. Although I also never really try to answer questions. I'm just kind of the quiet kid.
Understandable. Let's take another break, and we'll come back and give some hints on how parents can help teens who go through body anxiety.
Insights into Entertainment, a podcast series taking a deeper look into entertainment and media. Our husband and wife team of pop culture fanatics are exploring all things from music and movies to television and fandom. We'll look at the interesting and obscure entertainment news of the week. We'll talk about theme park and pop culture news. We'll give you the latest and greatest on pop culture conventions. We'll give you a deep dive into Disney, Star Wars, and much more. Check out our video episodes at youtube.com/insightsintothings. Our audio episodes at podcast.insightsintoentertainment.com, or check us out on the web at insightsintothings.com.
Welcome back to our discussion on teens and body anxiety today. So we've talked about, what our physical appearance means to us and how others perceive us and some of the difficulties that looking older or younger than you actually are can cause. But let's talk to the parents briefly here. And I'm going to run down this list, and I want you to grade how mommy and daddy fare with some of these hints here and whether or not we're doing what we should be doing.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being bad and 10 being great.
That works. That's our typical scale. So the first one they talk about is explain physical changes that can come with puberty so the young person knows what alterations to normally expect. How have we done with that, and how do you feel about how you're dealing with it?
I'd say I'd do a 9.5, only because I learned a lot of that from school, but you guys have always provided me with as many answers as you could.
Okay, good. That's reassuring. So the next one is respect the importance of looks and how appearance now socially matters more. Have we done a good job setting you up with that?
Yeah, I'd say. I'd probably give you a 10 on this one because you've told me that I'm not going to look perfect, but that's okay.
Okay, good. Understand the fashionable look the young person is adopting and what it signifies. Now, I think we struggled a little bit with this, especially when we came to some of the school pictures, but I think we might be doing a little bit better. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I'd say a 9 at this point because now you're still trying to understand my whole. I'm still trying to understand mainly formal wear for me. But you guys have definitely done better with understanding how I want to look fashionably.
Give adequate privacy for the young person to have the time it takes to get used to their changing body. I think this has improved significantly since we moved you into the new room, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, you guys have definitely been giving me the privacy I need, and I appreciate it, so I'll give you a 10.
Oh, well, thanks. That's very generous of you.
No problem.
Never tease about looks because they are no laughing matter. I tease about a lot of things. Do I tease you about your looks? Aside from having this urge to pop pimples from time to time?
Yeah, I'll give you a 9.5 for that.
They also say never criticize looks because that attacks self-esteem. Do we criticize how you look?
Not really, I don't think so. I'll give you a 10 for not criticizing me.
Oh, well, see, you're very generous today.
Thank you.
Tolerate changes in self-presentation through appearance because that's part of an individual's experimentation. Do you think you experiment a lot with your looks?
Not really. There's very few times that I actually do experiment with it. So can't exactly give you a grade on that because I don't really go through that.
That's a fair point. Monitor bodily changes sought to improve personal appearance like dieting because in the extreme, damage can be done. So how are mommy and daddy... are we intrusive when it comes to your eating habits and how you conduct yourself for physical fitness and stuff like that? Or are we just enough intrusive? What do you think?
I don't think you're too intrusive on my eating habits for the most part. Mommy definitely tries to make sure I have a good variety as well as being healthy, so I appreciate her doing that. For exercise, we have Just Dance now, so I'm definitely getting in more exercise than I did before. So I'll give you I'll give you guys a 9 for that.
Okay. That's pretty good. That's an A, right? That's for
Yeah.
us, yeah. Nurture personal valuing separate and independent of looks because that creates other pillars of self-esteem. So do mommy and I guess the real question here is, do mommy and daddy value you for what you look like or how you conduct yourself as a person?
You guys value me for how I conduct myself, and if anything ever does come up about my looks, you guys are always there to help. Like, Mommy had actually tried desperately to find me a good bathing suit that I'd feel comfortable with. And I definitely think you guys don't value me for my looks only. You value me as a whole person, so I'll give you a 10 for that.
Yeah, I mean, for our viewing audience out there, you see how I dress for these podcasts, and I'm very casual in dress, so I'm not overly concerned about what people think about how I look. So for me, it would be hypocritical if I impose that kind of criticism on somebody else if I wasn't, concerned about it myself.
Yeah.
What do we have next? Confront cruel self-deprecation based on looks because that constitutes mistreatment of self. So do we tolerate it when you make fun of your own appearance? Do we encourage you? Do we go along with it? What's our reaction?
Well, if I ever do make some joke about my looks, which doesn't happen very often, due to your tendencies of making fun of us, you might go along with it. But if I tell you it's a serious matter, you make sure to stay serious, so I'll give you a 9.5 for that.
Absolutely. I'm big on self-deprecating humor. I like making fun of other people too much, and if you can't make fun of yourself, you shouldn't make fun of other people.
Yeah.
And because I like making fun of other people, I make fun of myself all the time.
Yeah.
Encourage acceptance of physical imperfections because the ideal is not real. How do we handle that?
Well, you definitely you definitely say I need to clean my face more because of the pimples, and I can totally understand that. You also say that I've also heard you tell me that it's better to have a little more body fat because, especially if you went without food, having some extra body fat could keep you alive. So you kind of go to the extremes when doing that, but you also make sure that I don't compare myself to the ideal, and my mindset on that, so I'll give you a 10.
So we're going for the zombie apocalypse or stuck on a desert island approach there. I got you. Share your own history of issues with personal appearance so the adolescent knows the parent had this struggle too. Now, I think given the nature of the podcast, it's fairly clear that I tend to overshare some of the struggles that I had as a teen. But do you feel like you get that kind of feedback from mommy as well?
Kind of. Normally when I am going through these issues, she talks about what she went through, especially since she's also a girl like me. She knows that
She is? You've noticed that, huh?
Anyway, since she is a girl, she's able to relate to me a bit more than you normally do. So when I am going through these problems, she always makes sure to relate it to herself, to what she went through. And even if she can't, she always tries to make sure that she knows that I'm not the only one going through it.
And that's important because, misery loves company.
Yeah.
And the last one that we have here is see if you can help your teenager avoid equating personal worth with physical looks. Do you think your self-worth has anything to do with your physical appearance?
Nope. Thanks to you guys. You always tell me that. I think it partially has to do with your encouragement of my intellect and my creativity. And when I am going through these personal challenges, you just make sure that I get through it. You don't ever really praise me for looking decent or any. You praise me as long as I, stay clean.
Not even going to read into that one. Okay, we'll just stop it there. That was it for what we had here. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll get your closing thoughts and shout outs if you have any.
Okay.
Go for your closing remarks.
Okay, so to anyone out there who is suffering from body anxiety, just know that you should never think the way you look defines you as a person. You have so many other qualities about you that make you who you are, and the ideal that we have in society is not realistic in the slightest, and you shouldn't compare yourself to anyone.
Okay, I think that's sage advice like usual.
Thank you.
Before we go, I would encourage folks to subscribe to the podcast. You can get our audio versions listed as Insights into Teens on pretty much any place you can get podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Amazon, Google, etc., etc. I would also suggest you check out our video versions of our podcasts, all listed on the same sites. You can find those listed under Insights into Things, and that is all of our shows, not just Insights into Teens. I would also encourage people to reach out to us, give us your feedback, give us your suggestions for topics. If there's something out there you'd like us to research and talk about on the show, you can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com. You can hit us on Twitter at insights_things. You can also get high-res versions of our videos on YouTube at youtube.com/insightsintothings. We do stream on Twitch 6 days a week at twitch.tv/insightsintothings. If you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, you do get a monthly Twitch Prime subscription that you can throw our way. We'd appreciate that. You could get audio versions of the podcast at podcast.insightsintoteens.com. On Facebook, you can give us feedback at facebook.com/insightsintothingspodcast. Or you can get links to all those things on our website at www.insightsintothings.com. And you.
And don't forget to check out our other two podcasts, Insights into Entertainment, hosted by you and Mommy, and Insights into Tomorrow, our monthly podcast, hosted by you and my brother Sam.
Well done. And I think that's it. Another one in the books.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.